But the reason I even say that is because this guy is out of control insane. Like, off the rails.
Oh, come on.
Donald Trump has endorsed Mark Robinson, who is he's the GOP nominee to be the governor of North Carolina. Needless to say, this guy is a little bit out there. Of course, you have to consider the source. Trump is endorsing him. Trump seems to really like him. And Emma Vigeland and Sam Seder of the Majority Report broke this down. We're going to watch clips of Trump endorsing him and then also get into some information about Robinson. So here is Trump
But, I heard him coming in on the plane.
I
I was listening, and I said to the people in the plane, watch this. This is Martin Luther King on steroids, okay? Now, I told that to Mark. I said, I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King times two. And he looked at me, and I wasn't sure, was he angry because that's a terrible thing to say, or was he complimented? I have never figured it out. But I'm telling you, he's one of, right? When I said that to you, you looked like, I don't know if I like that comment. You should like it, because you are outstanding, and you're going to be the next governor, so that's going to be very cool.
In other words, you're going to like it. Because I'm telling you, you're going to like it.
Stomach turning.
Yeah.
Now, I doubt that Trump gets this, but it's hilarious to me the way the right-wingers have seemed to co-opt Martin Luther King Jr. by saying that he would be a Republican if he were alive now. This was a guy who was anti-capitalist. He fought for poor people. He constantly talked about race. He fought for workers' rights. The right-wing politicians and pundits of today would absolutely hate Martin Luther King Jr. if he were around now. I wonder if the core Fox News viewers, who are people in their 70s, so some of them would have been alive when Martin Luther King Jr. was alive, wonder if they look at this and think like, we didn't like Martin Luther King back then. Why are we supposed to pretend like we do like him? And younger people that would watch Fox News and are like, that MLK Jr. guy, he seems pretty cool. I wish there were a way that he could be resurrected and come back in 2024 and them actually see his policies. And they would just, their heads would explode. They would be saying, this guy's woke. I mean, Fox News would just be apoplectic night after night if MLK Jr. were around saying the things that he said in the 60s.
But the reason I even say that is because this guy is out of control insane. Like, off the rails.
Oh, come on. Here he is talking about why mass shootings. He's on a podcast. The podcast is the Anomic Age podcast. Here he is explaining why we get mass shootings.
In this country is the spiritual aspect, but it's bringing a spiritual stain on this country.
Maybe the MLK on steroids thing is that steroids makes people's heads really big. It actually makes your skull bigger. So maybe the steroids have caused his head to be really, really large. I don't know.
People say, well, I just can't believe we're having all these mass killings, and I can't believe that people are so mean. Our own government is promoting the murder of infants. Mm-hmm. Do you think that somehow people talk about karma all the time?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's not swinging back around in this society? And that people are seeing how human life is being devalued through the murder of all these infants? Of course it is. Of course they are. So, it's just like that old thing that Malcolm X said years ago about the Kennedy assassination, about chickens coming home to roost.
Oh, you read my brain.
When you spill that innocent blood, that blood is going to come back as a stain on you, and it's going to come home to roost, and we see it now. We have these leftists out here are promoting these ideals that devalue human life. And now that it's starting to show up in our society in these terrible ways, they want to turn around, they want to try to blame guns, and they want to try to blame the NRA, and they want to try to blame conservatives, and they want to blame Donald Trump. They have nobody to blame but themselves and the policies that they've been pushing that devalue human life across the country.
Now, Roe v. Wade was passed in 1973. So the United States had legal abortion for 50 years. School shootings didn't really become a thing until the 1990s. They were fairly rare prior to that. So you had a couple of decades of abortion being legal. And, of course, he says infants being killed as opposed to abortion. So I don't really see how that adds up. But I guess it doesn't have to make sense.
Abortion, which has been legal in this country for 50 years. It took a 30-year lag or so, 35 years for there to be an increase in mass shootings. Not correlated at all into the massive uptick in the purchase of firearms.
Or the repeal of the assault weapons ban under the Bush administration. That's not the first time that he's weighed in on mass shootings. He has a series of Facebook posts that have not been deleted. One of them also refers to the movie Black Panther as a Jewish Marxist conspiracy theory.
Let's put this up. We'll read the whole thing.
I want to read the one related first to the that was an aside. My apologies to the mass shootings. This one where he says, "Let me see if I have this correct. A spoiled, angry, disobedient child shot and killed 17 of his classmates, and now spoiled, angry, know-it-all children are trying to tell law-abiding adults that we must give up our constitutional right to own certain weapons. Cue Rod Serling, because this might be an episode of The Twilight Zone. David Hogg and the rest of these silly little immature media prostitutes need to grab a passy, have a seat in timeout, and shut up." So he's referring to the victims of mass shootings as prostitutes.
So this is another thing that the right wing has done. I get that these politicians and the pundits are getting money from the NRA, but I can't imagine going after people who are now adults, but were children involved in school shootings that saw their fellow classmates get killed. I just can't imagine going after those people the way that they do. You know, making fun of these people, calling them prostitutes. A couple of close friends of mine died when I was in school in car accidents. And fortunately, I wasn't there, so I didn't witness it happening. But that had a huge impact on my life. It really affected me. I can't imagine having been a kid that was involved in a school shooting and seeing other literal children murdered and not going on to be an advocate like a David Hogg. And I just think it's sick that these people attack them and make fun of them. Sure, take your money from the NRA, fight for what you believe in terms of gun rights, but leave these people alone.
We have this other one, Bradley.
This is back when he was just a businessman, right? I mean, he was just sort of weighing in.
2018. It is at once funny and sad how African Americans need Hollywood to validate them. I've been biting my tongue about this silly Black Panther comic book movie, but I can't any longer. It is absolutely amazing to me that people who know so little about their true history and refuse to acknowledge the pure sorry state of their current condition can get so excited about a fictional hero created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by a satanic Marxist. How can this trash that was only created to pull these shekels out of your Schwarza pockets invoke any pride? You want something to be proud of? How about pulling your heads out of the sand and start speaking up and telling the hard truths about the excesses, blah, blah, blah.
So this is not MLK times 2. This is Jason Whitlock times 0.8.
Exactly.
Okay, so he goes after Black Panther and talking about how they're extracting shekels from people. Yeah, movies, Hollywood is a business. They make money. You know, they're not making the movies for free. And like he said, it's a silly comic book movie. I think I'm not black, but my friends who are black were excited about Black Panther just to see a comic book character who was black. I don't see what the big deal is with that. I don't see why there's any problem with that. Being happy to see a character that they felt was representative of them when we've had so many white superhero characters. The only thing with Black Panther that kind of annoyed me is the media talked all the time about that he was the first black superhero, which in a movie, which is not accurate at all. We had 3 Blade movies way before Black Panther, and we also had Storm in the X-Men movies. I mean, she wasn't the main character, but Blade was the main character in his movies. But again, it's just a movie. What's the big deal? I don't understand somebody getting this out of whack over a fictional character that people were excited about. Here is an article on Vox where they talk about Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson, the North Carolina GOP nominee for governor, is off the rails even by MAGA standards. Robinson has denied the Holocaust, opposed women's suffrage, threatened to use his AR-15 against the government, and more. So the article starts out, the Republican Party under Donald Trump has habitually elevated extreme right-wing candidates who can't find enough support outside of hardcore partisans to win elections. But Mark Robinson, who won the GOP nomination for governor of North Carolina Tuesday night, is a special case even by the modern GOP's standards. They link to a Facebook post from him where he says, sad fact, the church in America is an ineffective laughingstock because too many pastors are looking up to the Hollywood and music industry demons who spit in God's face and who work diligently to turn the eyes of the masses towards Satan and his wicked agenda. Is this the satanic panic all over again, where people think if you play, of course, I don't know if young people are listening to records, but you play records backwards and you're going to get satanic lyrics in there? This person says, and many pastors were trained at the satanic seminary schools and whose church buildings were financed by satanic bankers. Sad but true. This is the thing that really gets me. I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote.
This idiotic guy was on stage with Candace Owens a few days ago and asked her, what America are we going back to make America great again? The one where women couldn't vote or black people were swinging from trees? I would say to him if I was standing in front of him, I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote. Do you know why? Because in those days, we had people who fought for real social change, and they were called Republicans. And they are the reason why women can vote today. Those days that he talked about when black folks were swinging from trees, guess who it was out there fighting to bring that to an end, to bring Jim Crow to an end? It was Republicans. So that's the America we want to bring back. We want to bring back the America where Republicans and principles and true ideas of freedom rule. That's the America we want to bring back. That's why I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican because of the 13th, 14th, the 15th Amendment to the Constitution and the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. I'm a Republican because whenever you look at true, honest to God, social change for the better, at the top, leading the charge, is a Republican.
We bring back these values by going back to a time when women couldn't vote? I don't understand how that works. Does he think that the husband should do the voting for the wife? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Here's another Facebook post from him. This is back in 2017. I'm over here rolling on the floor guffawing at these jackbooted feminazis who are demonizing Bill O'Reilly. You sexist, hairy armpit, having poo-poo hat wearing pinkos voted for a man who made covering up rape and sexual harassment an art form, and you voted for his partner in crime wife as well. Shut up and go watch Charlie's Angels. Here's a meme that Mark Robinson has shared about AOC. Mark David Robinson definitely has a lot of different women that he's gone after. Taylor Swift, he called her Trailer Shift. Ellen DeGeneres, Jane Fonda, Oprah Winfrey, Joy Behar. He posted a meme accusing Ashley Judd of trading sex for an Oscar. He doesn't even like Halle Berry. Who doesn't like Halle Berry? Dressing in see-through, ultra-tight, breast-bearing whore dresses to protest sexual harassment. Cardi B, he claimed that the stench of indecency Americans are smelling is not coming from Pepe Le Pew. Nice Pepe Le Pew call out. The cartoon skunk in Warner Brothers cartoons, but instead was coming from the garbage-like filth displayed by Cardi B. So this Mark David Robinson guy seems to be way out there. As we've said, even by MAGA and Donald Trump standards, Mark Robinson seems to be pretty extreme. It'll be interesting to see. I guess North Carolina, a Democrat has won 5 out of the last 6 governor races there, and the current governor is term limited. He's going to be term limited out. We'll see if this guy wins, but, would the mainstream Republican Party want to embrace this guy? I don't know. Trump obviously likes him, and Trump is the Republican Party. But what do you think? Mark David Robinson, is this guy out there, or the things that he's saying, do you think they make sense? If so, share your thoughts about Mark Robinson in the comments and Donald Trump's endorsement of him, and I'll see you in the next one.